say thank you to the Ombudsman Association for a fabulous conference, extremely enlightening and very thought-provoking. One of the threads that I take away from this conference is that of vulnerability and the trauma-based approach to the work that an ombudsman does. That for me that comes from a very personal level, because I am frontline manager, and so that means that I get to see the clients as they walk in physically into our office, as well as those calls, those contacts made over the phone or via email. And so it's something that I had thought about in the past, but with this conference, it certainly planted some extra seeds where we can keep going and developing our skills, and always ending up with a client-based approach on how we can best serve our clients. So Dr. Scully mentioned the word compassion, and Fiona Rutherford, another of your speakers, spoke about building trust. And that's our optimal goal with the service that we deliver. So definitely for me, I'll go back to Gibraltar thinking about how we can best help the vulnerable in our community.
Every session I learned something from, but I think the trauma-informed approach session was especially good. But the opening where that young lady Mary just told her lived experience with mental health issues, I think that just set the conference up for a great experience. Oh, so many. Artificial intelligence, how we can use it for good. Actually, the key takeaway was the people in the room. I've learned so much, and I've learned so much about the Ombudsman over here, and that there is sharing and caring as what they are in Australia, and it was just a lovely conversation to have over 2 days.
So my favourite part of today's session was the outreach, engaging with underrepresented groups with Janine Young. I really enjoyed it because I feel like, to be honest, that woman is a real life superhero. The work she does is incredible, and the main takeaway today for me was really every ombudsman scheme faces a lot of challenges. Like, no matter how well you're doing, some are doing better. No matter how much you're struggling, some are struggling even worse. It's just trying to do the best you can and making a change in people's lives. That's just it, really.
My favourite session, I have a couple, but one of the most powerful sessions I found over the last 2 days has been the trauma-informed practice. I think there's certainly some key takeaways there for us. It was a really powerful session, and one of the lasting, I suppose with my experience and background, one of the lasting kind of comments was Susan McKay's around prejudice is a poison that we unlearn, we need to unlearn, and we need to unlearn again and again. I thought that was really powerful. Yeah, another session that I found really interesting was human factors, and how, I suppose one of the takeaways for me is really looking at our own complainants, our staff and so on, and not look at issues on a reductionist approach. So looking beyond those issues when we get complaints coming in and we find human error, to really look at what is the actual issues behind all of that, what's the context, what are the systems, what are the processes, and I think that was really important, really insightful.
My favourite session was Priorities for the Public. I felt all of the panel members were really excellent and had really amazing insights. My key takeaway from that was the person element in all of this service. So the importance of always recognising and returning us back to that point that we're usually dealing in a service with people problems and people issues, and reminding us how that all interrelates with all of the different issues that are going on in the political sphere as well. So I found that really interesting and very excellent to enjoy.
I really like the AI sessions that we had this last day, but I got to say the vulnerability one was probably the one that I learned the most from, and that I'm taking the most back to the Channel Islands to try and start that multi-stakeholder conversation that clearly needs to start happening. The key takeaway is that it may not be a conversation for us to lead on, but we're an important catalyst in having that conversation take place for the benefit of those who we serve in the public.
My favourite session was Access to Justice, and that was really appreciating what an impact we have on providing justice to the most vulnerable people in society. My biggest takeaway from the conference was we're niche, but we have a massive impact upon society with our work.
By a narrow margin, in a tough competition, I'd probably say it was a session on human factors by Dr. Laura Pickup. And the thing that was most striking about it was the lesson that if something goes wrong in your organisation, the factors that can cause it can come from a whole range of different sources, including really big macro sources, government right down to tensions in the office. So I've got a lot to take back from that and work with the team on exploring the sort of things that could go wrong with us and how we could plan to prevent those happening in the first place. It's hard to find one. Do you mind me giving a couple? It was okay. The thing I like most from the OA conference is the same again, which is the chance to spend time not just with people you don't normally get to meet with, but to spend time talking to your own colleagues, have a bit more time with them, thinking about those issues. But the challenges that came out of the presentations on the role of trauma and the impact that trauma can make was very memorable. The way that telling the truth can be a key factor in maintaining and rebuilding trust. And then just being made aware of the scale of the impact of the current economy on the work being done by organisations like the Bristol Law Project and on everyday people's lives was striking. And so, yeah, lots of memorable things to take away, lots of lessons to learn. Overall, a great 2 days.